A lot of the times, you define your worth by the roles you play in society. At most times, you let your career define you. Say you are a manager in a large firm or you are a doctor. You have attained for yourself these roles of a manager, a doctor, or a professor, and you should be proud of them. But suppose you did not become all of these things, then what? Or what if all of this goes away? If tomorrow you retire or you quit your job, then what are you left with? Who are you beyond these professional roles? It is important to respect these roles, but also remember that you are more than just these roles. You have your strengths and talents that are not just tied to these professional roles. You have a value in this world that is not tied to your strengths even. The fact that you are human, that you have come to this world, that you exist, this alone gives you value. Your presence in this world alone has value. You are always constrained by societal roles. Society gives you importance if you play the role of a good citizen, a good mother, or a good woman. These roles have significance and you should fulfill these roles dutifully, but not for material gain. But it is important to remember that you are beyond these roles also. Tomorrow, nobody can come to you and say that you are no one in this society, that you don't have a job, you don't have a social tag, and so you don't have any worth. Well, you may be no one in the society, but on this earth, you are a valuable human. As long as you are good and you don't harm anybody, you are a worthy person. It is important to earn a living, pursue a career. Doing these duties are our responsibility and it is in our control, but the results are not. So you should learn to detach from these results. However, detachment is a tricky thing. At times, it seems contradictory to one's passions. When you are passionate about something, you naturally become too attached to it. You become so involved in it that you forget the hours. But detachment is about balance. You can still pour all your heart into your work, but be detached to the outcomes. You can still be passionate about something, but be in full acceptance of the fact that you are also beyond your passions. That even when you pour yourself into the work and passions, and when it seems that your work and your passions define you in some way, you will be in acceptance of the fact that these passions or the work may not be permanent. That life is always evolving, our circumstances are changing, and what we have today, we may not have them tomorrow. Even our passions and interests may change, or they might not always work in our favor. But throughout these changes, there is one thing that's going to remain constant, and that is your worth. Love your work, work for your passion, but remember that those are not permanent, or they may not always bring the result or the happiness we desire. Or even when they bring us happiness, remember that there are other ways to be happy as well. That there are other sides of happiness too. That you can always find joy and happiness in the smallest of things. That you have an access to an inner peace and joy. And you can tap into this to feel worthy. Embracing self-worth helps us to see ourselves in a better light. We see our flaws and insecurities, but in turn, we also see the strengths we have in order to overcome these insecurities. Or even when we see our flaws and insecurities, we are not threatened by those. We know that it is human to have those flaws and weaknesses. We would be a one-dimensional robotic being if we only have strengths and no weaknesses. Life is in a constant state of duality, always. If the good exists, then on the other side, there's going to be an existence of the bad as well. If on one side there is light, then on the other side there is going to be darkness. If there is happiness, then there is going to be sadness as well. Hence, on one hand, if we have our strengths and talents, then on the other side, we are going to have our weaknesses as well. We need to embrace this duality as long as we are here on this earth. There is a lot of social stigma that is attached to failures and flaws and mistakes. A lot of shame is tied to those. But we need to detach from the shame by remembering that having flaws is normal for a human being. The important thing is to be aware of everything, to be aware of our strengths and weaknesses, and then try to leverage our strengths and work on our weaknesses. It is important to be aware of the cause of our failures and then learn from them, but not attach our worth to those failures. We might be too focused on our flaws as our brains have a negative bias. But what if we learn to focus on our strengths more? Remember that the strength you have, another person might not have. You are always in a state of comparison. For example, you are thinking that, oh, that person is so confident and I'm not. But maybe that person does not have the talent of being punctual or creative as you are. What you have as strength, another person might have that as weakness. Similarly, what you have as weakness, another person might have that as strength. We are here on earth together to fill these gaps and not be too proud of our strengths or be too shameful of our weaknesses. Everyone has both. It makes us human and interdependent on one another. Learning to value our worth by focusing on the little things, the small things, is an important step in our self-love journey. Thanking ourselves for the small things that we do for ourselves as well as for others. Nurturing a good habit, picking up a hobby, following our daily routine, taking care of our body, taking care of our families. These are things worth doing, and we should be more thankful of ourselves for having the capacity to see the worth of these small things and then being able to do them. Thanking ourselves for the strengths that we already possess is a significant way to value our worth. We can list all of our skills that we already possess, the skills that we are learning and relearning, and then applying the knowledge or the wisdom that we possess. Thank yourself for those, because so many people might not have had the blessing to gain and access to those. Also, thank yourself for the mistakes that you made, because those mistakes help you to learn more and gain experience and wisdom. Thank yourself for the flaws because it makes you human. Forgiving yourself goes alongside gratitude. The gentle reminder that it is okay to make mistakes and that in this journey of life, mistakes are an opportunity for us to grow will help us to be more forgiving and gentle towards ourselves. These little reminders will help us see our worth that is beyond failures or mistakes. It will help us to embrace acceptance for our flaws and gratitude for our strengths. Celebrating small wins in life is also a big way to redefine our worth. You were able to start a project you abandoned a long time ago. Today, you were able to exercise for an hour. You were also able to learn a new skill today. These are moments worth celebrating. Doing even one good thing in a day is worth the value. And even if you don't do anything but you try to do, that is worthy enough too. Our self-worth should not be even tied to doing something. Sometimes you are not able to do things. Sometimes we want to do things but we are unable to do for various reasons. That does not make us non-valuable. Sometimes we go through major pain and surviving the next moment seems impossible. The fact that you survived the day or the next moment is worth cherishing. Being able to live through each day is valuable too. A lot of the times, human beings define everything in their own way, give their own meaning to different subjects. Same goes for the subject or topic of self-worth as well. There is no one way to define self-worth. There are a number of ways to define it, and the definition might vary from person to person. Think a little about what self-worth means to you. Does for you self-worth means being more creative? Does self-worth for you mean being able to work for your passions? But remember that no matter how you define it, your worth is also beyond these definitions. You are worthy because you exist. You are worthy because you are human.